Rogers here. So today's video is going to be about well, getting started. The basics, right? I mean, because there's so much more to it than just taking a bunch of tools to some parts and slinging stuff around. I mean, a lot of people have learned the hard way that things. Yeah, I mean, even though these are not necessarily the most technologically advanced things out there, things can get over your head pretty quickly. In fact, that was kind of how I got started. I had a few guns that decided to give up on me, and so, it was sink or swim, right? But I wanted to do a video kind of addressing some of the beginning early stuff so that it would help some of those guys out there who want to get started but don't know how to, and help you guys get a foot in the door a little faster. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to cover is resources. Okay, it would make sense that if I'm going to talk about resources, it's probably going to be online, right? Here I have some of my bookmarks that I'm going to go through for you guys, and really one of the best, I guess they're all equally as good, but one of the things that I like to do is to go find some of the more talented or more knowledgeable technicians, like find their YouTube channels, right? And you can actually see what they do and what their guns sound like, and get examples of, like, is this too noisy for me, or should I be able to do this? And you can read comments and get conversations with them, perhaps. So the first one I'm gonna go to here. I hope this turns out well here. Okay, the first one is Meki. I'm not totally sure. I think I'm gonna put links to their pages on on the description. But anyway, so he's one. He has great examples. He has some great technical information. Like here in this video, he talks about plastics and AGs, difference between POM, nylon, and polycarbonate, right? So they're and that's something that he actually has expertise with. He's going to school for it. The next one is What For 5, and if you haven't heard of Hunter Seeker 5 yet, then it might be worth looking up. He has his own website and products. It's Hunter Seeker Armory. Check it out. There's tons of great videos, and a lot of these guys will do not just airsoft stuff, but some other things. But anyway, those two I really like. This is one guy that helped me get kind of started. Like, he was one of the first people where I found a gear shimming job where it was dead silent, and I was like, oh, well, challenge accepted. And that's Klashnikov 1, right? He has some gameplay stuff, some teching vids, some tutorials, and then a little bit of random other stuff. But overall, great videos, I think. And the next one, Kami Kid. He has some great videos, some wonderful testing examples. Here's a good one. Thoughts on upgrading airsoft guns, right? There's a little bit of everything, for everyone in all these channels. And the last one, I guess I'll bring up, though there are more, it's just the ones I decided to jump on, is Valley River Arms. He has some good stuff here and there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw some neat motor videos from him, where he kind of talked particularly about motor technology and modifying them. So that was interesting. But anyway, they're all worth a taking a look at, right? And then of course my channel, right? But if you're already here, then hey, like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff or whatever. Okay, the next one is forums, and I'll go my favorite one, the one I'm on all the time, is Airsoft Mechanics. There are a lot of very, very clever people here, and the neat thing about forums is you have people from all different backgrounds. So there are people who are highly educated with, say, acoustics, people who are really educated with I guess plastics, right? You'd be surprised, The most important thing is definitely follow the forum rules. There's no quicker way to get people mad at you than to do things that irritate them. But that aside, get in there, find threads that are interesting, and then read the conversations, because sometimes people will make claims that are right or wrong, and then they defend them, and then in the defense, in that conversation, you find out even more things that you might never have picked up. The other ones are okay. I think Airsoft Mechanics is by far the best one. At least it's my favorite to navigate. The next one is Airsoft Forum. There's some good stuff here and some clever people. You might notice when you're jumping around the forums that some of the same people are on the other ones. Here's another one, Airsoft Society. They have some neat stuff. I'm not going to go through and review each forum. There's not really any point in doing that. You might as well, if you're interested, go check them out. And the last one that, at least that I've looked up, you might have some other ones. If you do, put them in the comments. Is Airsoft Sniper. You may be more into AEG stuff, and that's kind of me. Like, I'm not real crazy about sniper technology, just because I like going brat-tat-tat. But the sniper forum is nice because there are quite a few people who are particular about precision and long range and all that kind of thing. So you might, and then naturally they're particular about concealment, right? So you never know. You might find some good information in here. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it for resources. Oh no, it's not. Okay. So the last one is, and I don't have any links to show you guys, but the last one would be manufacturers, right? So you can call manufacturers like GNP, and golly, I would start trying to come up with it. But anyway, sometimes you can call manufacturers or email them, or their reps or their distributors or something like that, or even stores, and get more information about products that you might want to put in the gun. And other than that, those are pretty much my best online resources that I can give you, other than, well, no, online definitely. I was going to say the other thing is get some parts and blow some things up. That's really going to help. Okay, so the next section is going to be about planning. So here I'm going to talk some about planning. It's easily one of the most critical things to anything you do. Even in just life in general. You may be able to just kind of skip through things and get lucky here and there and get, be successful without planning anything. And that works for so long. Luck is on your side for only so long. With planning, you can make sure that success is repeatable. That's one of the key ingredients to doing any of this stuff, right? Especially, whether it's working on your own stuff or working on a friend's gun or whatever, it's all It's all real important. So here I'm going to speak just a little bit about planning the planning a build, right? So the the first things that you can think about are, say, your basic systems, okay? Um, and really, relatively speaking, those systems are there. I think there are only three, and they kind of, I guess they can all be broken down into little miniature subsystems, but these are the big, I guess, details that that really break down airsoft, right? And the first one, well, I guess for me, is accuracy. Okay, and by that I mean BB accuracy. So what components make the BB more accurate? And generally speaking, this doesn't. There are a lot of things that we could theorize that would go a certain way or whatever, but I mean, generally speaking, the components that affect it the largest. So the next is your power. What components mean the most for making power, right? Throwing a BB harder or throwing a heavier BB, and then you have rate of fire. Now, accuracy, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is when you think about upgrading a gun, your first question should be, what do I want? Right? This is key. And if you go on forums and start saying, well, I want the best LMG ever, a little light machine gun, or I want the best, say, sniper ever, well, or maybe even just the best AEG, the best rifle ever, well, they can all be used in different applications. So, say, a light machine gun, I mean, technically, you could use it in a CQB scenario, right? Or maybe you're trying to have the longest range, LMG, where you can just keep shooting all day, but you're not necessarily looking to dump tons of BBs at them. Or maybe you're looking for both, but it's important to, to quantify, is it accuracy that I'm looking for? Is it power that I'm looking for? Or is it rate of fire? Now, it can be all three, but you have to be able to address those things before you do anything else, right? Now, accuracy, generally speaking, is going to be made up of range and consistency at that range, okay? And there are going to be components and techniques and things like that that you can use to improve or, to modify those things. Power is, I mean, it's kind of a key component to reaching range and everything, right? But, generally speaking, what you're talking about when you talk about power is feet per second, or FPS. And, the reason why you would tinker with that is for range or maybe consistency, right? But, it affects definitely what BB weights you can use. Okay, and then finally, your rate of fire, the specifications that you're going to see there are RPS, or rounds per second. Okay, And those are, generally speaking, when you're giving out the specifications for a gun for performance, these are the 5 different specifications that you're going to see for that given combination. So let me bring this up real quick so you can see it a little better. Okay, so range, how consistent it is at that range, at what power with what BBs, and then how many rounds per second. Now you might see some other specifications, like part specifications, but generally speaking, for whatever combination you're using, those are the the benchmarks, if you will. Okay, so let's talk for a little bit about accuracy. Okay, I'm gonna shorten it here. I'm gonna try to start saving a little bit of time. Okay, the components, and there are a lot of components that go into this, but generally speaking, if you're looking for more accuracy, something that you should look into, or the things that you can consider, are your barrel, right? Your, oh man, my hand is all in the way here. Your barrel, your BBs, and your hop up. Okay, those are probably the most common accuracy components that you're going to be working with. The hop up, you look at things like the R-hop, the nub, the bucking, the quality of the housing itself, all that kind of stuff. The BBs, there are infinite conversations about BB quality, what to do with them. People wash BBs, all that kinds of thing. You can find that in forums and maybe even some good videos about it on YouTube. And then the barrel, my goodness, it goes on forever for what barrel, what's better, the specifications, all that kind of thing. Hunter Seeker did a very long write-up about barrel theory and all that kind of stuff that's available on Airsoft Mechanics and likely on some of the other forums as well. But that's worth looking at, if you're looking to improve accuracy. Okay, now power, generally speaking, it's, I guess, subsystems, if you will, are, of course, air seal. I mean, that one is paramount, right? No matter what, and the next one is chamber, right? No matter what chamber you're using, and to a certain extent with chamber, I mean chamber volume, okay? And it could be something like bore up or non-bore up or whatever. So here's a full cylinder, right? There's no ported holes in it. This has a hole in it, which changes the volume of the setup, okay? And that's going to change the output and the overall power that it's able to exert, on the BB. And there are all different considerations for that, but I'm going to kind of leave the part theory for later on. This is just sort of a basic planning conversation. And then finally, your spring, and I guess you could put that into chamber, but I generally think of the chamber as things that that make up the air seal and everything. So I'm sorry, not the air seal, the shape of the whole thing, of the air pocket that's inside. So here's a piston head, right? It has a specific shape on the front of it, right? And that's going to change the volume, the overall volume that's put behind the BB. And so will the shape of a cylinder head, right? The back of it and everything. See, this one is a little more open. If I can get the light to work on it right. That one has kind of a big opening in there, whereas a lot of these, the ones I like to use, are completely flat and totally filled out. Now, finally, the last little guy, or I guess, system was rate of fire, right? And generally speaking, this is affected by, or is the major components that affect it are your battery, your gears, and your motor. Okay? So there are other things that can be done, like the wiring can have a difference, and so can a MOSFET and those kinds of things. But if those are all designed for what the gun's going to do, then they're not, generally speaking, they're not going to have as much effect as these. And the same is said for, O-rings for seal, and all that kind of stuff. Now, to bring all of these kind of back down to a point, once you've made those considerations in your planning, right, here are some next ones. Okay, and the first one, and probably paramount for me, is durability, and the next is the performance. Okay, and you can use low durability or high durability on any of this kind of stuff. Okay, there are even low durability barrels, right? There are Teflon coated barrels that JBU made at one point that, to a certain extent, I would say are lower durability because the Teflon would flake off on them, or at least that's what the reports were. And performance is naturally how, to what extent do I want to take this? Is this just a low-level repair? I'm just trying to get the gun working again, or am I trying to pick out one of these specifications and raise it up? Whether it's the rate of fire, the BB, and power of the BB, or am I trying to reach a longer range? That is, that might be more kind of power and your, barrel and all that kind of stuff, depending on what you're doing. Or maybe even just consistency, and that can be improved with the barrel alone. Or surely the hop-up stuff. I guess the last little way I'm going to do this is to kind of write out what I was saying there. Durability is generally affected by parts and by the techniques that you employ installing them. Okay, so that could be a large number of techniques, like fixing the area. Ooh, my goodness, the angle of engagement, like you see here, and how this one, is further back. It could be filing things down so that there's less resistance. Unfortunately, I don't have anything. Oh, I do. So say like this piston here, if you see where it shines, there you go. I've filed it down so that it had less resistance and less chance to grab going back. So those are things that go into durability. And then performance, your overall output, and then not just output, but efficiency. Now, if you're just trying to pull, like a top fuel kind of scenario where it only has to live for 4 seconds, forget efficiency to a certain extent. Just, kind of. I mean, you could argue that, but just go for heavy output, right? And I'm not saying that you balance these two things, but they're both considerations. So, with that said, here's kind of an overview of what we've gone through here. I guess it's time to move on to the next section, which is preparation.